Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another video for Infinite Lagrange, and it's been a hot minute since I last made one of these. Now that's partially due to the fact that the sponsorship deal I had for Infinite Lagrange content has now been suspended. I don't know if that will come back at some point in the future. As far as I'm aware, it has just closed down, so I'm not expecting it to return. Now, as much as I don't like letting the financials get in the way of what I want to do, I do have to face some simple facts here, and that's that Infinite Lagrange videos, as much as I thoroughly enjoy this game and I adore making content for it, these are a lot of fun to work out and a lot of fun to film for me. Ultimately, they do get a lot less views, and that does result in a lower revenue stream. Now, ultimately, with the sponsorship, that made up for that lower revenue stream. I was getting the additional pay on top there. Without that sponsorship, I do have to sit and evaluate whether or not Infinite Lagrange can take up a significant portion of this channel. Otherwise, I lose a lot of revenue, and I know that sounds horrid to say, but I do still have bills to pay, and I would rather be upfront, open, and honest about this. So, for the time being, I am going to still be creating Infinite Lagrange content, and, well, we'll see how it goes. There's been a lot of interesting stuff going on in Infinite Lagrange since I last put out a video. What the hell is Trojite? Good lord, how many events have they got going at the moment? I swear I have never seen a server go by this quickly. It's been a bit of a crazy time, let's be fair. But yeah, in today's video we're going to be doing another blueprint breakdown where I have a look at a particular blueprint and its different variations. Now, it's still not going to be the series. Why can't I unlock you? Much as I want to, that final blueprint is evading me to the extreme. So instead we're going to be having a look at the Noma shipping group's Tundra, another one of the support destroyers. This has a lot of similarities to the series, and we are going to be mentioning the series quite a bit in this video. Now, if you do want to see me keep making Infinite Lagrange content before we jump in, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ding the notification bell, and seriously consider heading over to my Patreon, where you can pledge to donate and keep me doing what it is that I do. You'll get your name in the stars at the end of the videos, there's exclusive merchandise you can earn, all that kind of jazz. Otherwise, let's jump right in. The default variant of the Tundra, the one you'll unlock first, its A-type, is the support type, or the Tundra Tactical Destroyer. Now, of course, despite this being in the destroyer tonnage, it is a healer, just a fact that I find a little bit ironic and mildly humorous. I know that obviously destroyer is just an epithet used for tonnage. In modern naval situations, there's a lot of crossover between a cruiser and a destroyer, which means that those definitions are actually kind of pointless and don't really do much, but here in a video game, it's because obviously you have different shipyard levels in order to build these. Anyway, looking at the bottom left then, special effects, carry repair UAVs 1. This is a healing vessel. It's going to support the rest of your fleet by repairing any damage they take. And if we open up the combat role here, you can see it's a destroyer equipped with the Tundra multi-role UAV system. It's able to launch 2 squadrons of anti-aircraft UAVs and 1 squadron of repair UAVs, providing air support and repairing friendly ships in battle. Basically, like the Noma M470, which I've covered previously, this is able to lock onto one friendly ship and launch some repair UAVs that will assist in keeping that ship alive, repairing any damage that it takes. Now obviously you've got the M470 there, as I've just mentioned. The Noma M470 is a frigate. That's only 6 command points here. You've got 9 command points on the Tundra, which kind of brings us to our first point. If all you care about is direct healing, you will find that the Noma M470 ultimately works out better per command point spent, if that makes sense. However, the Tundra does do bigger overall healing, just not 1.5 times an equally upgraded M470. That's because the Tundra UAV system, in addition to those repair UAVs, is also launching anti-aircraft UAVs, which are surprisingly useful at keeping those pesky fighters and corvettes out of your airspace. This, of course, is going to be the first system you look to enhance with tech points, so let's have a look at what we have. Now on the far right, we do have a strategy, the emergency repair strategy. This is 15 enhancement points, and when the ship's HP falls to 20%, all UAVs on board perform self-repair and increases repair effectiveness by 100% for 40 seconds, which will only trigger once per battle. This means if the Tundra is about to be destroyed, all of its repair UAVs are recalled from whatever it's trying to heal, and it will try and heal the Tundra up as well. I don't actually really rate this, because you should have a good front-lining destroyer tank tank that will be absorbing most of the firepower for the Tundra. Ultimately, the Tundra shouldn't be taking all that much damage, and really you'll only find that you lose one of these either if it's a heavily unweighted fight, if you've got someone flanking you, or if you've just been going battle after battle after battle and war of attrition has finally worn one of them down. If you're careful with how you launch your fleets and it's always a front-facing fleet that you're fighting, or you've got the attacker's advantage and you're hitting someone else from the side, or as long as you're repairing your ships kind of between protracted campaigns, you should find that you don't need this emergency repair enhancement at all. In fact, the first ones you should be going for are things like the Enhanced Repair Beam, which increases the repair effectiveness by 10%, same with the Enhanced Repair Materials, and the Aircraft Maintenance Acceleration and Rearmament Acceleration, which reduce the RTB, Return to Battle cooldown, by 20%. Now, it's tempting just to go straight up for that effectiveness right off out of the gate and call it quits at that, but you are going to need those RTB cooldowns as well, because it does take a while for these to come back to the ship, rearm, and then head back out to re-repair, especially if you want to switch target. They don't switch from one target directly to another. If the ship that you are healing gets up to full health and the UAVs decide they need to move to a different target, they have to come back to the Tundra first, at which point there is a cooldown period before they can return to battle. You need both the RTB and the UAV repair effectiveness, so I will basically go 1 point in each of these and then 1 point in each of these until they're all maxed up. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way up to maxim. Now, of course, if you decide that actually the anti-aircraft part of this ship is pretty cool to you, then we have things like the airborne weapon maintenance and airborne ammo enhancement, which will increase the damage of aircraft in the or in this case UAVs in the hangar. You can increase the hit rate, which is always very nice to have, and we do have the typical hangar armor enhancement to increase system HP. As far as I'm aware, the Tundra's main thing here is this anti-aircraft, the UAV system, so if you are being targeted by something that can destroy primary weapon systems, it is this that's going to go first, so that can be useful, but it's not huge. I'd basically be going for those healing effectiveness first of all, then looking at the aircraft UAV damage increase there. Now, ultimately, I have enough anti-aircraft firepower in the fleet as well so far that I've not bothered putting into those just yet, but as I enhance this up further, those are what I'll be going for, starting off just with the straight up damage, because the hit rate is pretty good on these to start with. Once I've maxed out one of those, then I will go for that hit rate increase there in order to assist with the anti-aircraft firepower for the fleet. Now, the rest of the Tundra's support type is nothing to write home about. You can enhance its armor, you can change its propulsion systems, there is a rapid fire battery system attached to this thing as well, but its damage is just not great at all. Fully upgrade it does get some anti-aircraft firepower, but it's, to me, not really worth it. There's nothing overly special going on here, other than a little bit of additional AA. If you are adamant that you want to pump tech points into here, and you've done everything else, then yeah, that's probably going to be your first port of call before going to things like armor and propulsion, but still, I kind of stop once I hit this point here. I may go back and start adding some anti-aircraft firepower there, but for the most part, this is purely a healer for me, with some nice additional support from the anti-aircraft category. The B-type variant of the Tundra is the aircraft type, the Tundra Aircraft Destroyer, which puts this primarily on par with the Series aircraft type. You'll notice that the Series unlocks as an aircraft type to start with, then gets a support type as its B-type. On the Tundra, you get the support type as the A-type, and the aircraft is the B-type. They've kind of swapped that round. And whilst I think that the Series support type is better than the Tundra support type, I actually think that the Tundra aircraft type is better than the Series aircraft type. Now, we'll talk about why in just a moment. Now, like the Series air type, the special effect here of the Tundra Aircraft Destroyer is of course its ability to carry 2 wings of medium fighters. You're not going to fit bombers or anything on this, but 2 medium fighter wings is pretty good for a ship that is destroyer class tonnage and only 9 command points. It's one of the first ways you're going to be able to actually launch aircraft in each server. Let's have a look at the Tundra aircraft system, and we'll discuss why I think this is actually better than the Series. Now, in order to understand this, first of all, we just need to talk about the Series very briefly. The Series has an ability to heal any of its aircraft that come back into it. Whilst they are on its RTB cooldown, the Series will actually heal up any damage that your aircraft have taken, then will send them back into the fight. Now, this is awesome, but obviously you want to reduce the amount of time that your aircraft is sitting in the hangar in order to maximize the time that they're out on the field actually blowing stuff up, which means the faster that they get in and out, the less time they have to be healed, which does actually negatively affect the series. Instead, the Tundra, as you can see here, has increased aircraft evasion of 10% and increased hit rate against aircraft of 15%. That increased aircraft evasion is particularly what we're looking at here. Ultimately, aircraft that you send out take less damage. They don't need healing as often as aircraft coming out of the series do. You can then enhance this further with increased missile evasion by 30% and reduced chance of being hit by guided weapons by 20%. That's all to do with missiles, which means anything firing missiles at aircraft is going to be having a bad time. Now, a lot of things that have intercepting weapon systems, for example the Winged Hussar, are missile-based. Not all of them, but as far as I can tell, the majority of them are missile systems, and that is a horrific increase there to the evasion against missile systems for any aircraft in your fleet, being launched out of the Tundra, of course. We then have the typical lock-on speed of aircraft UAVs in the hangar by a whopping 70% reduction, and a RTB cooldown, again 20% there. We do have an evasive maneuver strategy. This is just for the Tundra though. When the ship's HP falls to 20%, the Tundra gets higher evasion. It's, again, not particularly great because this is a back row ship. It shouldn't really be getting shot at all that much. We've got the typical increased system HP, and we do have the hit rate increase of aircraft UAVs in the hangar, but I tend to pump into hit rate anyway on most of my aircraft. Therefore, I go for that evasion, followed by the things like RTB cooldown and target lock-on speed. These are important because it means they come straight out the hangar, lock onto their new target, and immediately open fire. You'll notice I've actually only just started going for the airborne weapon maintenance on this particular server. This is normally the one I would upgrade next to get that full 10% additional damage onto the aircraft being launched from the Tundra. 10% isn't huge compared to certain aircraft carriers that can launch, but again, we're talking about a destroyer-type version that gives you an increased hit rate against enemy aircraft and excellent aircraft evasion. This means if you want to be using something like Sandrakes or Spores, the Tundra massively pulls ahead. If you are using anti-aircraft aircraft, then the Tundra is humongously ahead of the series as a launching platform because you've got that basic evasion, which is just horrific anyway, plus you're able to hit those enemy aircraft considerably easier. Even if you're not going for AAs though, if for example just your Sandrakes or Strix or whatever are going after actual ships, the fact that they can avoid any of the interception fire is just horrific. It means they stay alive a lot longer. I tend to find that ships launched from the series, I still use things like my Newlands out of the series, but they tend to take a lot more damage. Yes, they get healed, but not really by all that much. And I've just found that in most situations, the Tundra just pulls ahead damage-wise compared to the series. You can kind of showcase this yourself, fully upgrade one of these, launch a load of, for example, Spores out of it, see how well they do, swap then to 4 or 5 series, again launch all those Spores out there and compare how the Spores actually do, and you'll find that they're doing better out of the Tundra. I've done this with Newlands and Janbiers. Both of those as well seem to do better out of the Tundra than they do from the series, which I genuinely was quite surprised by. The series has always been my de facto aircraft launching destroyer. Now, however, the Tundra has very much taken that top spot, and it does get used an awful lot in my fleets. I've got none of them built at the moment. You can see I've been kind of mixing and matching fleets today, but ultimately these get a lot of use, primarily with Sandrakes. I love Sandrakes with the Tundra because of course it fits, but Spores do exceptionally well as well. In fact, technically I think the Spores do better than the Sandrakes, but I just like to have a Noma aircraft being launched out of a Noma destroyer. I know that's pathetic and weird, and it's just how I am. But there we have it. The aircraft type of the Tundra is better than the series aircraft type, but the series support type is better than the Tundra support type. That's not to say that you shouldn't bother with the Tundra support type. I find that I'm using multiple frigate destroyer fleets, and ultimately I need both the Tundra and other things. You know, I need to use the Tundra in order to support that. Okay, yes, I don't have the series myself on this particular server. It annoys the ever-living daylights out of me that it's the one blueprint I want more than anything else right now, and I just can't get it. But from the numbers that I've run and how I've seen other people using them in their fleets, yes, the series support pulls ahead of the Tundra, but again, it's not by a drastic amount. If you only have the Tundra, go for it. It's still an excellent support destroyer that is going to help your fleets out a lot, especially with that anti-aircraft firepower, until you unlock the series aircraft. If you have the Tundra aircraft, however, this is kind of when you retire the series aircraft and pull out the Tundra instead. It obviously all depends on what you have available to you. Anyway folks, that's all for today. Let me know your thoughts and opinions if you're using the Tundra or the series or any of the other ships and you've got some cool ideas of things you'd like to see me cover in future Infinite Lagrange videos. Please do let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, as usual, head across to Patreon, start earning some cool merchandise, support the channel and get your name in the stars, and happy sailing, and see you in Infinite Lagrange.